The term sanctions is indeed a curious term. The United States is sanctioned by who? If you listen to them and their pundits, you would swear the U.S. was somehow sanctioned by divine providence or by God herself or himself to impose sanctions around the world against any country who dares to stand up against their hegemonic interests. Anything that Russia does to protect its own interests, the United States and the European Union characterizes as aggression on the part of Russia. But we understand who the true aggressors are. In the words of Martin Luther King, we understand who the greatest purveyor of violence in the entire world is, and that's the United States. The United States has hundreds and hundreds of U.S. military bases and installations outside of their territory, stretching from the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean to far off places in the world. Occupying more than 140 countries. So why doesn't Russia have the right to defend its borders against Ukraine, which has been converted into a neo-colony of the West? The United States understands this, but uses the international media to mischaracterize Russia as though Russia were the country that's on the offensive. We have to ask first, why is there a crisis in the Ukraine? There's a crisis in the Ukraine because the NATO powers in the United States in a conspiratorial way, did everything to overthrow the central regime in Kiev because it was a regime that they could not control. It was not a neo-colonial puppet regime, and that's really the roots of this modern-day problem. So now Russia has acted with dignity, protecting its own self-interest by honoring these referendums, these democratic referendums throughout the Ukraine, and the United States doesn't want to see different parts of the Ukraine go over into a different sphere of influence. This is about imperialism. And if you understand the ABCs of imperialism, imperialism is about the control of markets, the control of natural resources, the control of peoples and their labor power. And that's what the United States is after in Ukraine. And as soon as they can gobble up this piece of the chessboard, Ukraine, they're even closer to Russia and making further encroachments into Russia, recolonizing Russia, and recolonizing like they did in Libya, like they're trying to do in Syria. They will stop at nothing. This empire is truly the greatest purveyor of violence and the greatest violator of human rights that one could ever imagine in history.